Standing there, watching flames consume my children's playground, I never imagined I'd leverage my role as a city inspector to confront the most oppressive HOA in America. The young president of our homeowners association had just obliterated my family's joy with a flamethrower, claiming it clashed with her rigid aesthetic standards. Unbeknownst to her, I inspect buildings professionally, and her own home concealed violations that could unravel everything she held dear. How would she react upon learning my true identity? My name is Daniel Harper, and after 15 years as a city building inspector, I believed I'd encountered every conceivable issue: faulty DIY wiring, crumbling foundations, you name it. My job was to shield people from their own missteps and shady contractors. Relocating my family to Pinewood Estates felt like a dream. Excellent schools, a secure neighborhood, and a generous backyard where I could finally create something for my own family. For my twin boy's 8th birthday, I dedicated weekends to crafting a sturdy wooden playground. Nothing love YSH, just a safe setup with swings, a slide, and a small fort for their pirate or astronaut adventures. I used pressure-treated lumber, adhered to every safety regulation, and laid down rubber mulch to cushion falls. The boys were thrilled, their laughter echoing daily after school, making every splinter and ache worthwhile. That idyllic life lasted precisely 3 weeks before I crossed paths with Laura Bennett. In her mid-30s, always clad in attire fit for a corporate boardroom, Laura had relocated to Pinewood Estates from the city and swiftly ascended to HOA president within a year. She ran meetings like hostile takeovers, enforcing what she dubbed community standards enhancements. Initially, I hardly noticed her, just another busy neighbor uninterested in casual greetings. That changed when she targeted my boys' playground. In hindsight, I should have anticipated that someone so power-obsessed wouldn't settle for mere warnings, but I never foresaw the extremes she'd pursue. The first notice arrived days after the playground's completion: unapproved structure in violation of HOA Covenant 7.3, it declared in bold, official typeface. I was irritated but not shocked. Bureaucracy shadows me everywhere. I responded courteously, attaching architectural plans, safety specs, and citing building codes I knew by heart. 3 more letters followed over 2 months, each escalating in tone, the final one warning in red ink of enforcement action at homeowners' expense if the non-compliant structure wasn't removed. My wife urged me to dismantle it to avoid conflict, but I refused. This wasn't about a playground, Anna Marie, it was about resisting intimidation in our own home. I attended the next HOA meeting, blueprints in hand. The community center's conference room was sparsely attended. Most neighbors had long surrendered to the fight. Laura presided at the head table, impeccable in a navy suit despite the informal setting. When my turn came, I explained calmly that everything complied with code. I understand safety requirements, Ms. Bennett, I said, avoiding my job title and simply noting I worked in construction. I helped draft half the codes for this county. Laura's composed expression remained unchanged as she peered over her designer glasses. Mr. Harper, your grasp of safety isn't the issue. The playground undermines the aesthetic vision we've set for Pinewood Estates. It's visible from the street, disrupting neighborhood harmony. It's in my backyard, I countered, and my kids adore it. Personal preferences don't supersede community standards, she replied dismissively. The board's decision stands. As I left, elderly Mr. Callahan whispered, "Don't take it hard, son. She's after anyone who doesn't match her perfect image." Last month, she fined me for my bird feeders, called them unauthorized wildlife attractants. Driving home, I realized this wasn't about rules, safety, or aesthetics. Laura wielded the HOA as a tool to dominate. I'd seen this in my work, people intoxicated by even minor authority. I resolved to stand firm, unaware she'd soon escalate beyond letters. That pivotal Thursday began routinely. I headed to work in my inspection gear, checkered shirt, and durable jeans while my wife took the boys to soccer practice. The neighborhood settled into its mid-morning hush. At 11:42 a.m., my phone rang. It was Mrs. Ellis from across the street, her voice trembling. "Daniel, get home now. That HOA woman's in your backyard with, I think it's a flamethrower." I assumed she exaggerated. Perhaps Laura was photographing violations, but then text from 3 neighbors confirmed it. Laura and 2 board members were there with equipment, and smoke was rising. I raced home, breaking every speed limit. Turning onto our street, I saw thick black smoke billowing from behind our house. By the time I arrived, firefighters were dousing the remains of my son's playground. Laura stood on my lawn, clipboard in hand, dressed in a charcoal suit, as if sealing a business deal rather than committing arson. She directed her uneasy board members while I leapt from my truck, stunned. The playground was nearly gone: charred wood, melted plastic, the air thick with accelerant and burnt rubber. My wife's car pulled in, and my boys' cries pierced the air as they saw their birthday gift in ruins. "What do you think you're doing?" I shouted, storming toward Laura. She turned coolly, pointing accusatorily. "Mr. Harper, we gave ample notice of the covenant violation. Per Section 12.4 of the bylaws, we're authorized to remove violations at the homeowner's expense." With a flamethrower? I was incredulous. In a residential area? It was an industrial heat tool, she corrected icily. Very controlled. Safety measures were in place. I glanced at the firefighters still extinguishing embers, then back at her. "You call this controlled? If you'd complied, this wouldn't have been necessary," she said. "You'll be billed for the enforcement and fire department response." Fire Marshal Tom Grayson, a colleague from my early days, pulled me aside. "Dan, this is arson. We should press charges now." I saw my son's tear-streaked faces, then Laura, unmoved, scribbling on her clipboard. A better plan emerged. I approached her as she instructed her team to document the successful removal. "Laura," I said evenly, pulling my city inspector badge from my pocket, "there's something you should know." She barely looked up. "Mr. Harper, if you're threatening legal action, the HOA is within its rights." Her words halted as I displayed my ID. "Laura Bennett, I'll inspect your property tomorrow at 8 a.m. Official business." Her face paled instantly, her clipboard dropping slightly. "You're a building inspector?" "Senior inspector for the county," I clarified. 15 years. I specialize in residential code violations." Her board members stepped back. One, Greg Turner, muttered, "Laura, you said this was legal." "It is," she snapped, her voice rising. "The HOA has enforcement rights." "Not to commit arson," I replied. "And I'm concerned about unpermitted industrial equipment in a residential zone." "Were those tools registered? Did you file a burn notice or get a hazardous operation permit?" Each question made her flinch, her corporate facade cracking. "This is harassment," she managed. "No, Laura, this is procedure, just like you value procedure." I gestured to the smoldering ruins. "Is this your aesthetic harmony?" Tom stepped forward. "Ma'am, we'll need statements and permits for that equipment." As Laura and her team were escorted away, my wife joined me, our boys clinging to her. "Did you see her face?" she whispered. "I've never seen someone so terrified so fast." I hugged my sons. "Boys, some think they can bully others if no one resists. But there's always a way to fight back." That night, after promising the boys a better playground, I accessed the county's property records database, a tool I rarely used off hours, but this warranted it. Laura's 3,800 square foot Colonial in Pinewood's priciest section, built in 2008 during the housing crisis, hinted at corner cutting. I reviewed permits, sales history, and filings since her purchase 2 years ago. What I uncovered was staggering. Laura, the rule enforcer who torched my son's playground, lived in a house rife with violations. She'd made 6 major modifications, but only 2 permits for a water heater and kitchen remodel were on file. Satellite imagery and tax assessments revealed an expanded deck, a pergola, a renovated master bath, and a garage-to-office conversion. A Modern Home article from 3 months prior showcased her professional office with custom built-ins and recessed lighting, no permits for the removed garage door or extended HVAC. I confirmed with my electrical colleague, Sam, no permits for significant electrical work at her address in 2 years. By 2 a.m., I'd compiled a dossier on permitted work that could cost her tens of thousands to rectify, with fines up to due lot $220,000. The garage conversion alone could mandate a stop work order. At 8 a.m., I arrived at Laura's in my inspection uniform, khakis, county logo shirt, safety vest with my kit and documents. She opened the door before I knocked, her polished look replaced by a sweater, jeans, and weary eyes. "This is harassment," she said, her voice shaky. "No, Laura, it's procedure. I've received reports of code violations here. County Code 18.7 authorizes me to investigate. May I enter, or should I return with the sheriff?" She stepped aside silently. I began in the office, a clear unpermitted conversion. This was your garage. It's my office now, she replied stiffly. I documented violations. No permits, non-GFCI outlets, extensive electrical work. This isn't decorating, I noted, pointing to the lighting. This is major work requiring permits. I continued through the house deck without footings, unpermitted pergola, improperly vented bath plumbing. In the kitchen, examining the gas range, she snapped, "This is personal because of that playground." I faced her. "No, Laura, it's my job to ensure safety. These aren't aesthetic issues, and unvented gas line risks carbon monoxide. That electrical work could spark a fire. The deck could collapse. I enforce rules to protect, not terrorize." I handed her a notice. DULA $175,000 in fines, 30 days to comply. "You did this," I said, echoing her words from the fire. "I'm just following procedure." Word spread fast. 3 days later, an emergency HOA meeting packed the community center. Laura sat rigidly as neighbors recounted her tyranny, fines for rose bushes during cancer treatment, a basketball hoop removed from a teen with scholarship potential, toys penalized in retirees' yards. Greg Turner apologized, resigned, and moved to oust Laura. The vote was nearly unanimous. As she left, the room buzzed with newfound unity plans for gardens, a real neighborhood watch. The fines hit Laura at DULA $178,500, her insurance denying coverage. Her law firm suspended her. I helped rewrite HOA bylaws, prioritizing safety over aesthetics. Laura threatened lawsuits, but backed off when I mentioned arson charges. She sold her house after costly fixes, and we built a community playground, a symbol of resilience. Neighbors bonded, kids played, and Pinewood healed. Sometimes, from destruction comes creation. Laura learned too late she'd been the one playing with fire.